an immovable wall of iron. The length, the girth, the unstoppable thrust. The purest manifestation of man's relationship to nature.
Hi, this is a Lance video. Before we jump into it, I wanted to first talk about a certain Japanese word, jimi. It means plain, simple, subdued, the opposite of flashy. It's not often a flattering way to describe something, but depending on the context, it could refer to diligence or a quiet dignity. Like someone who comes to the office, keeps their head down, doesn't draw too much attention to themselves, gets the work done, and goes straight home. There's nothing wrong with that, and there is nothing wrong with the lance, which in my opinion is the most jimi weapon you can choose in Monster Hunter. I don't consider myself an expert, so I don't want this video to come across like a proper weapon guide, but I felt it was important to spend a couple of minutes to cover at least the bare basics of the lance, so the video was a little bit easier to follow in case you're new at the game. To quickly summarize lance gameplay, the moveset is separated into 3 sets of actions: basic combo attacks, a rest action, and situational special moves. Basic combo attacks come in the form of a forward thrust, an upper thrust, and a wide sweep, and you can string together up to 3 of these in a row in any way you want, except for a wide sweep cannot be followed by a wide sweep. Each attack combo must be followed by a rest action. Afterwards you can repeat your cycle over and over again until the monster is defeated. Rest actions can include the hop, which is the lance version of your dodge roll. It can include the counter thrust, which can be held down to lengthen the time of your block. And it can also include your guard dash, which is like your hop, but you have your shield up and you use a different button to do it. The guard dash can be followed up in a couple of ways, which are the shield attack and the leaping thrust. So a basic combo loop might look like a thrust, dash into another thrust, and then the cycle repeats. While you're looking for opportunities to use your combo attacks, you might have some use for other special moves that you have access to, which are just your regular guard. You put your shield up and you block attacks. It's very strong. From the guard, you can do something called the dash attack, which is another powerful attack that's outside of your basic 3-hit combo. And while you're maintaining your counter thrust, you can hit the dash button to then hunker down into a much higher defense blocking stance, which will quickly drain your stamina. That covers the basics of your moveset with the lance. I didn't cover absolutely everything, like anything to deal with the clutch claw, the counter claw attack, the other ways you can get into certain moves. I would recommend just taking the lance into the practice arena and follow the button prompts on the upper right, or look up a more fully fleshed out weapon guide for the weapon. The Monster Hunter community likes to do weapon popularity polls from time to time, and the lance is almost always in the bottom 3. I think part of the reason is, going back to the idea of jimi, the lance is not flashy at all, really. There isn't a single special attack you can do with it that'll make you go, "Oh, that was so sick, I can't believe I did that." The lance really is all about just keeping your head down, staying in the fight, poking until the enemy's dead, and then leaving. The mechanics of the lance, that is the buttons you press and the things you get out of it, are very simple. But what I find so cool about this weapon is the philosophy of the lance is all about being unyielding. The enemies in Monster Hunter games like to use attacks that are designed to give themselves space. So maybe they'll create ground hazards around them, or a wide tail swipe that's supposed to knock you back, and then capitalize on that space they created by doing a powerful charge attack. With most other weapons, you kind of have to respect that. You have to put your weapon away to sprint away, get out of range of their attacks, or dodge or dive for the invincibility frames just to avoid the damage. With the lance, you get to just put up your shield and say, "No, actually, I think I'm going to stay right here," and then keep poking you. To me, that's such an interesting approach to the gameplay that's fairly unique to the lance. There are other weapons like the gun lance and the charge blade that also have powerful shields, but the lance is truly the immovable object. It's designed to keep you in the fight at all times. The rest of the video is gonna be a demo hunt that I set up with some live commentary over it. But before I get to that, I just wanted to quickly say how grateful I am about your support on the first video. I know it's a little bit tacky to do YouTube channel meta commentary on your second video, but I genuinely did not expect more than even double-digit view count on my first project, and it was really reading all your wonderful comments that inspired me to make this video. Considering the wide range of experience you all seem to have, I figured it would be more fun and interesting to do a celebratory little propaganda video for one of the more underappreciated weapons in the Monster Hunter series. Hopefully some of you will be able to kind of relate to the message of this video. If I could get even one person who watches this to try out the lance for the first time, I know I did a pretty solid job. Speaking of which, hey, if you're a lance main, sound off in the comments below. But anyway, thank you so much again. I am so excited for this channel. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun here. I can't wait for Wilds to come out and start making videos that can help new players find their place in the series like I have. And I hope I can count on some of you kind and patient veterans to help lead the way. For the demo portion of this video, we are hunting the low-rank Anjanath. From personal experience, I remember when I first fought the Anjanath, I struggled a lot with it. It was a scary monster for me. It was big, intimidating, gets in your face. I wasn't sure how to deal with it. It was a struggle. And I don't want to assume other people didn't have similar issues like I did, so I wanted to use it as a punching bag for today. I'll do a quick equipment check. I don't like to go too crazy with the armor. All of these are pieces you should have access to at this point in the game, especially the weapon. This one is a water damage lance, so you should have access to it after you fight the Giratotus for the first time. The water damage is important. The Anjanath is extra weak to water, so you'll be doing a lot of extra damage with a water weapon. Another skill that I wanted to point out is the guard skill, which is a 5-level skill that improves the overall effectiveness of your shield. So anytime your shield is in play, whether it be the regular block or the counter thrust, you will be able to block more damage, so you'll take less chip damage whenever the monster attacks, and it also reduces the impact. You will be less likely to recoil after stronger attacks, so you can go straight back into poking with your stick. I would say the guard skill is probably one of the more important skills you can get for the lance. So as you continue through the game, you want to look for armors that give you as much guard as possible, along with another skill, a 1-level skill called Guard Up, which will unlock the ability for you to block certain attacks that you otherwise could not. It's a very useful skill, along with another one called Offensive Guard, which gives you a temporary attack buff if you block at the last second. The window for whatever last second means is pretty generous, so you'll find that the attack buff you get from Offensive Guard is constantly up. It is an extremely powerful skill. I highly recommend it. Now, if you like the quick hopping movement that you have with the lance, you can go for armor pieces that have evade extender, evade window, and play a style called evasion lance. That is very valid. Because of the quick nature of the hop, your dodging is actually kind of hilariously strong with the lance equipped. I personally prefer, I think, the guard more, just for offensive guard. However, don't feel like you can't, play a dodging style. That is perfectly valid. The one tip I have for that is when you're picking out armor pieces, try to do so for one style at a time. If you spread your skills out too much, you will potentially lose out on some damage and make the hunts last longer. The lance is all about that constant barrage of attacks. I think most veterans will tell you to use the counter thrust as much as you can over the regular block, where you just put your shield up. The reason being that when you block an attack with just your basic block, it triggers like a short recovery animation, which you have to wait for to complete before you can go back to attacking. Whereas with the counter thrust, you go straight back into your poke, because that's how the move works. So it saves you a bit of time. Unless, of course, the attack is powerful enough to actually make you recoil, like that fire breath. You just have to be careful with multi-hit attacks from enemies. Since I know that attack hits twice, I think the regular block served me better there. Something I think is worth keeping in mind is, because your basic movement is so slow with your lance out, but you have so many of these tools that naturally just kind of move you in directions that you wanted to, you can go through most of the fight just repositioning with your attacks. You don't necessarily have to spend a lot of time kind of moving around like normal. I'm doing my best to showcase the lance as hyper aggressive as possible. I feel like there's a common misconception with newer players when you see, you know, a sort of a slow weapon with a big shield. You think it's a defensive weapon. It is not. This is one of the most aggressive weapons in the game because of how constant you can be in the fight. That's really the most important thing I wanted to show off with this video. It's like the idea is that you're not giving the monster any breaks. For multi-hit attacks like that, I think it's just fine to just play it safe. Pull your shield up, avoid damage. Normally against that breath attack, you would have to roll away, get some distance, and then wait for him to kind of finish before you can go back and attack. Of course, with the lance, you can just put your shield up and then immediately start counterattacking. The Great Jagras came in and kind of interrupted the fight for me, and then that just got me thinking, whenever you make openings, so if you trap the monster or if you flinch the monster, whatever you do that buys a couple of seconds, you don't necessarily have to immediately follow up to do more damage. It might be just as valuable to heal up or sharpen your weapon. Right? That's timing that you created for yourself. You don't have to take advantage of every opportunity to just focus on attacking. Play safe. Safe is good. I do like the idea that I'm using my YouTube channel as an excuse to take down all my old nemesis. It's just revenge for all the trouble you caused me in the past. Now other people can watch me redeem myself. Anyway, that's the hunt. Thanks for watching, everybody. You should try the lance too.